All right, guys. Hey, everybody. Brian Olivard, Atlanta's Real Tall Realtor here with Five Realty in Georgia and Tennessee. And I wanted to introduce, I get a lot of questions a lot of times about people that are, trying to kill it in the industry and how to get started. And so I really wanted to introduce two rock stars that are part of my circles. So why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves? We'll start with Heather to my right.
Hey guys, I'm Heather Fan. I serve the Chattanooga area and parts of Georgia, so just right outside of here.
And how long you been in the business, Heather?
About 5 years now, going on my fifth year.
Awesome. Erica Hojo, my dear friend, introduce yourself.
Hello. So Erica Hojo with Cadillac Realty Group and Five Realty serve the greater Boston area. We are located in Burlington, Mass, which is about 20 minutes west of Boston. And a lot of my clientele is right around greater Boston and what we call the North Shore, which is about probably 30 minutes north of Boston.
Awesome. And how long you been in the business?
In my third year, going into my fourth.
And you're both on teams, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of people that get on teams, they look towards their leaders for the team lead to provide a lot of their business. But you guys are definitely standouts because y'all are thriving in your own markets and really kind of like uncovering new opportunities. So why don't you tell me exactly like what those opportunities are? Like, what is your largest pillar of business? I could explain it because I do know, but why don't you guys tell me where you're getting your business from? What pillars of business?
I would say most of mine is from what we call like SOI or sphere of influence. When I started, I definitely pulled resources from my previous career, which was working in hospitality, and was able to sort of work with people that already sort of knew, liked, and trusted me at that point, and just carried that over from a hospitality relationship into, I know real estate now, and sort of grabbed their attention, I'd say, on social media. And I use that as a way to educate people and a way for people to reach out to me there.
I love that. So, a lot of people, especially when they get into the business, they have a hard time going after their sphere. And that's really the people that know, like, and trust you, like you said. And so but sometimes they're a little hesitant. So, I've been following you on Instagram for a while and there is no hesitation. And what I do love is that you're helping educate and really help people, understand the benefits of home ownership and how to navigate that process. So, I love kind of watching that journey. Heather, what about you? Tell me what you're doing, how you're killing it, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, I'd say my two biggest pillars would be sphere of influence / events. So I do a lot of events in Chattanooga, which I kind of then rope them into my sphere of influence because we become friends after that. So I don't really count them as like, an event. And then past clients and referrals from past clients.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about like your events that you do.
One of the biggest places that I hold events is at the dog park here. So if you don't know, Chattanooga is like one of the most dog friendly cities. And I'm a huge dog lover. I have two of my dogs back here, two big pictures of them. But so I do events there quarterly. So it could be, pictures with the Grinch, or it just could be like a summer event where a lot of people come and get to hang out and stuff like that. So
yeah, so you're providing, that's what I love. I do events as well in Sphere, and I just kind of love the community that you've been a part of and now kind of making it your own. I've had the opportunity to watch over the past, I'd say 3 years now, kind of watching that growth, and it really has been such a successful strategy for you. So speaking of strategies, if I were a newer agent, you guys have been in the business for a minute, what new strategies would, or maybe some advice that you would give to an agent that's just starting in the business and they're really just trying to get their footing onto the right path?
I think one of the biggest things is surrounding yourself with people that are already successful or trying to get their footing too. So that's one thing that I love about Five in our group is that we have these like mastermind calls that we can bounce stuff off of each other, and you can figure out what your specific niche is and hone in on that, and connect with other people that are doing those same things to be able to elevate it.
I agree. Erica?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with what Heather said. I think that, with Five and with KRG, what we have is a lot of shadowing opportunities. So I think a lot of times newer agents are sort of thrown out, on their own, and having, picking a mentor or somebody that that you work well with or have the similar work ethic with, and just ask them if you can shadow, host their open houses, go to home inspections with them, go to showings, listing appointments if they'll allow you, and just really be like a sponge, ask a lot of questions and take it all in.
Yeah. And I think this being such a relationships business, it's really good to understand, and be able to have the opportunity to mimic and mirror the person that you are mentoring under and seeing how they're interacting with agents and interacting with clients and all of that, because I think there's just such a huge opportunity. I know most people want to just dive right in, but I think sometimes it does help to sit back and really understand until you can be first string. So I think that's where a lot of the growth opportunities happen. So, this business is not always rainbows and roses. So sometimes there are challenging transactions. So Heather, any transactions that may have been a little bit of challenge, and what was the best way that you would give advice to navigating something like that?
Yeah, I've definitely had my fair share of challenging transactions. I would say one thing is like real estate isn't a one size fits all. So even if you have difficult transactions, they're all going to be difficult in different ways. And so figuring out how it is that you're supporting your client and making sure that you're straightforward with them. So I'm actually in one right now that we were supposed to close in April. And Eric, I think you already know about this one, but we still haven't closed yet. So it's been just a lot of issues with like surveys and stuff like that. But the main thing has been, how can I get creative to make sure that my clients have felt supported and still feel really optimistic about the process, knowing that it's been pretty grueling for all parties involved. And so, we've done different things that have been like super beneficial for them, of like securing cabinets and that they could get a deal for that they weren't going to be able to because it was going to expire. But also just being super transparent and honest. So I think it's easy to be honest and transparent when it's an easy conversation, but being able to do that through the difficult conversations is extremely important too, so that they're not feeling like they're blindsided or they're shell shocked with something that's happening. They know what to expect. And so being able to give that to them helps them to feel a little bit more comfortable and secure.
Love that. Love that. Perfect answer. Erica?
Yeah, again, I think, you hit it on the nail there. I just recently closed on a transaction that was an estate sale. And I think coming from, a side of compassion and honesty is hugely important. This was for a client whose, sister had passed away. And I wanted to work with them and was able to, interview and get the listing. But it was, I basically did a ton of cleaning for them. Like, he had to go through all of her belongings, all of her medical devices and all that stuff. And he wasn't local. So I had the ability to just really say, listen, I can help you with X, Y, and Z. You're not here. Let me take the burden from you. And then there was, we got under agreement. The transaction was a little bit difficult. And again, just being the boots on the ground, because he wasn't based in, in Massachusetts. And I was always on the phone with him, letting him know what to expect. We hit a couple road bumps, but really making sure the expectations were there, the communication was open. So in the long run, everything turned out, and I know he was extremely happy, and that was, the most important part to me.
And that really does set, a lot of people think that the realtor's job or value is opening the doors, and it really does happen, during the, start to finish process. And so really going above and beyond, that's fantastic. Like, that gave me chills.
I know, I got chills too.
I was like, wow, Erica, mic drop that. So Erica, I know you do a ton of Instagram and Facebook and social media, but let's start with you. Like, what do you think are the top, things, platforms or technology that could really help an agent kind of really navigate? Like, what are the tools that they need to really get started? Because I think there's an overconsumption of different things that we can buy or whatever. And as a newer agent, we want to always make sure we're budgeting properly, so we never feel in a state of desperation, but really determined to get the job done. So what would you say is probably the best tools or technology to use?
I would say, like, it really don't go fancy, use your phone. Hopefully it's got like a reasonable or decent camera. Take video. I do a lot of previews on my own. So not when I'm previewing with clients, but when I'm on my own, go out, take videos, feature new properties, coming soons, even listings that have been on the market or distressed properties. and basically, do a video, walk the said, consumer through it, whether it's from a perspective of a lot of my businesses, first time home buyers. So I want to walk them through, okay, this was something that came up in home inspection, or this is what's on the market right now and how quickly it's coming off the market, or how many offers it received. So do things that are interesting and tangible and digestible for your consumer, for your sort of target market. Again, mine is first time home buyers. So I like to make sure that a lot of the information I'm giving is positive and realistic. So not all of it is like, daisies and roses, but it's stuff what to expect when you're ready to, enter the market. Or if you're already in the market and you've written 12 offers with your agent, you're not alone, because this is something that happens commonly. So I would say, don't go out there and buy like the fancy recording stuff. Just use your phone and get out there and actually do it and create the content. I use like CapCut. I use the Instagram app, and I just do a lot of videos that way.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we want to, our content and stuff to be perfect, but done is better than perfect. And that was one of the rules a long time ago that I used. So I don't have every day is going to be a great hair day. Not every video is going to be life changing, but just really coming from a place of passion and offering that energy and information to people, I think is key. So what about you, Heather?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I also use CapCut, but outside of for social media, I think having a CRM is good to stay organized. So it can be pretty easy, I would say, in this line of work to get unorganized and disheveled. And so making sure that you've got everything organized. And then personally, I just love a good old fashioned spreadsheet. So I do a lot of tracking in spreadsheets, and it's simple because you have it on Google anyways. And so from like budgeting to how many times I talk to people and stuff like that, I have that all tracked in spreadsheets. So
love that. All right. So, of course, you guys have grown into these rock star agents, but I find that a lot of times, not necessarily mistakes, but more of our challenging transactions or whatever that looks like. Sometimes you have to fail to win, to learn, to grow. So, what do you think was your most pivotal growth moment in your career that you really learned and it started catapulting you back into the right direction? Because you're not always going to have a 10 out of 10 day. So anything that you can think of that you can give advice to agents that might be thinking that they're not necessarily navigating correctly?
Erica.
They're like, we're perfect. We don't ever, but like sometimes like you're like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have spent money on that. Like,
Yeah, I think it's really all about like having time management and knowing, because there's nobody's going to tell you have to get up and make your calls or make those posts or batch your reels and stuff like that. And I think that was probably the most important learning, that, I am my own boss, and that was part of the attractiveness of real estate. But now we know, like, you don't make your own schedule. Your schedule is what your clients need. But I think hugely important is really just focusing on, okay, setting good goals for yourself, making sure you're meeting them, having a schedule, time blocking, and really having people, surrounding yourself with people that are positive role models and influences, I think is hugely important as well.
Heather?
Yeah, not sure. I know I've made mistakes, but as far as, I think one thing is there's times where you could go through a lull and where maybe you're not generating as much business as you would be hoped that you would, or you're just not hitting the targets that you're wanting. And so there's two paths you can take. Is one, you allow yourself to just get stuck in that, and then you get further in the rut and it's really hard to come out of. Or two, you say, okay, what do I need to change up? How do I need to navigate this differently to actually start generating the more business? And so I think that's the thing, is if you get into this situation where you're in a lull, kind of like she said, like making sure you're surrounded by people so you can bounce some things off each other. Hey, I've got this going on. What do you think I can start doing differently? And making sure you take that different step.
Yeah. I'll share mine. So just because everybody's being vulnerable, so I feel like I should be. I invested in an ISA, which I know is a, can be very efficient and effective if you're doing a ton of online leads, but I'm such a belly to belly person that it almost automated the process too much. And where I excel at is definitely the, face-to-face interactions that I have with people. And it was a $16,000 mistake that I did. So, in the grand scheme of things over the past 16 years, like I don't think of it, but that was one that kind of taught me like, you do sphere of influence and client events and just staying, in front of your people and the relatability of it. I mean, those really are the best leads, in my opinion. Online leads are great because if you're just starting out, like it is a way for you to kind of get in, but really navigating your circle and your sphere. So, but yeah, that was an expensive one that I had to learn because everybody's like, you should get an ISA. And I was like, okay, it just didn't work for me. And I know some people it does, but that was one of my largest mistakes. So,
I think that's the thing, is making sure that just because someone else is doing it doesn't mean you need to do it. Like focusing on what you can hone in good and that you're actually getting results from, for sure.
Yeah, because there's no wrong way to eat the Reese's. People do business. There's so many different avenues that you can approach this with. And it just has to be what you feel comfortable, but not just the comfort. Like don't like sit on, the fact that you're comfortable, but also what you enjoy. So if you're waking up and you enjoy having those conversations with people, then maybe that's not something that you push off unless you're really trying to scale. So, and that was the first thing that I learned very early on. So, well, y'all know that Big Why is a huge part of my journey and why I wake up every day and just love to get after it. So I was wondering if the two of y'all would share your Big Why.
I'll share mine. I don't have yours. I've heard yours, Brian, and it's, that brings chills to me. And when I think about your story, but I think my big why, or I know it is that, my wife and I are starting a family and I want to, just catapult my business, make sure that my family has, all of the things that we need and want. I would like to be, at a point at some time in my life where I'm investing a lot more into real estate. So, my why is to be able to support my family and get to a place where we're comfortable and I can work and achieve a lot of my goals and keep my clients happy, but I can also have time to myself and my family.
Yeah. And I love that. Not every why has to be this like place that came from like a traumatic, background. And I know how passionate you are about that. So as long as it evokes emotion, then it's worth having. And I just think like, keep crushing because you're going to get everything you want. I mean, you're a rock star. So
thank you.
Heather?
I think mine's kind of like a three-piece why. So one is also my wife doesn't really enjoy her job very much. So I would like to honestly just be able to let her either retire or kind of do something differently that she would enjoy more. And then community is something that's always been important to me. So before I got into real estate, I was a plant manager for a company, but I never got to get involved in my community because I was just like there all the time. And so now I have this ability to get connected with people. And I want to also be in a position to be able to give back to like dog rescues, which is very a big passion of mine, being able to give more to dog rescues. And then I think the last piece of it is a lot of people from my generation never really learned how to build generational wealth. And I think, we were always just said, okay, go into the workplace and you just work until you're done, basically. And I want to show people that you can do more than just that. So you can get an investment property and you can have this residual income to where you're able to do things that you actually care about and are passionate about and build that for your future as well.
And you said you wanted to be, I love that. You said you wanted to be a part of your community. Heather, you're leading your community. You're a leader. You both are. And I think that I'm super proud to be in business with both of y'all over that. So, well, anyway, guys, I just wanted to take a second for a quick interview. I'd appreciate y'all taking the time. I know y'all are super busy. What are your last thoughts like about crushing the year? Are you super excited as we move forward? I know y'all are, tons of listings and just opportunities that are out there, even though we're hearing a lot of radio noise. Anything that you're looking forward to as we, move towards December 31st?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of changes happening with the NAR stuff. At 5, we're talking about it. We're on top of it. We've been prepared for it for months. So I'm excited to be able to, educate clients about it, be the agent that knows about it. I'm also, it's an election year, so it might be turbulent, but I think that through education and communication, I'm excited for a strong, next 2 quarters.
Love that.
Yeah, I'd say the same, that you're going to see a lot of people probably get out of the business, especially with these changes. And so just getting in a position to dominate the market even more and really take over the area. So
I love it. Glad to be in your circles, guys. So y'all keep crushing it, and I'll talk to y'all soon.
thanks.
Thank you.